Welcome back to Today with Dr. Kaye. I'm Dr. Kaye Wise Whitehead. Folks, I'm joined now by Katherine Ritchie, the Senior Director of Venture Funds for TEDCO, who has over 22 years of finance and investment experience in venture capital, private equity, and working with family offices. And I'm just excited to have her on the show because she's worked for at least 8 family offices and 4 billionaires, by the way. How are you, Ms. Ritchie?
I'm wonderful, and thank you so much for this opportunity, Dr. Kaye.
Absolutely. So I want to just delve into just kind of get a sense of how did you get involved in a career in finance?
You know, that's a great question. I grew up a kid in Maryland, went to public school, didn't come from a rich family, didn't know really about stocks, bonds. But in high school, my parents started worrying about retirement and paying for college and all of that. So they started to teach me about stocks and bonds. And I was like, wow, what is this? This is really cool. So that's kind of what triggered my excitement. And then in the late 90s, to tell you my age indirectly, I heard about all this .com bubble, whatever, and I bought a few little stocks. I mean, I'm talking like not even $100 just to try it, and I was hooked.
Okay, so now so you made a switch then. Once you started doing that, with your background, I know you received your MBA from Fordham University Graduate School of Business. Was that before or after you bought a couple little stocks and bonds and you were hooked?
It was actually before, and it's funny because I thought, man, I must be a genius. I made a little bit of money on the stock market. I should go to business school and learn more about it. So that's why I decided to get an MBA.
So then what's the difference between public and private investing?
You know, that is such an important question because we hear on the news all the time, you know, Google and Amazon and Tesla, and those are great tech companies, but they're public. But when they started, they were private companies, and only angel investors or venture capitalists or wealthy people could invest in those private companies. So those private companies are not listed on an exchange. You can't go buy and sell the stock. And sometimes private companies aren't even open for investment. So private investing is really a much kind of opaque and, it's a private marketplace compared to your Google, Amazon, Ford, GM, you name it. So that's the difference. But usually the private investing is just harder to get into. You might not even know that there's a private company down the street from you because the information isn't available to the public like a company that's listed on a stock exchange is. You can find out all of their financial information, but not with private companies.
So then with that in mind, exactly what is TEDCO and why is the investment portfolio unique?
Well, this is something I'm really proud of. So I grew up here in Maryland. I'm a kid, a public school educated kid, Poolsville Elementary, Robert Frost Junior High, Wooten High School. And then I went to University of Maryland undergrad. And I didn't have any clue that TEDCO started a venture fund. And TEDCO is a state entity. So what happened is 25 years ago, the governor and some other politicians said, wait a minute, how do we invest in our state, encourage small businesses, and encourage job growth and economic development? Wait a minute, why don't we keep investing back into the state? And you hear about these Silicon Valley startups, and they've made tons of money for their investors. Well, hey, why shouldn't the state residents and taxpayers get this added benefit? So TEDCO was started 25 years ago. So what do they do, and why is the portfolio unique? So TEDCO only invests in Maryland-based companies. Doesn't matter if you're in Eastern Shore or Baltimore or in, Ellicott City. And why the investment portfolio is unique is we have a specific purpose to invest in SETI founders. So it used to be people use the expression women and minorities for funding, but that definition has been expanded over time because the purpose of SETI is socially and economically disadvantaged individuals, which then covers it's women, people of color, LGBTQ, disabled, veterans, because there are lots of ways someone could be disadvantaged. And so we want to encompass all of those founders. And why is that important? Because these people get the least amount of money, and it's not fair. I've worked in finance for 22 years. I worked on Wall Street. I worked for 8 billionaires. And most of the time, I was a minority because I was a woman, let alone people of color or disabled or veterans. So TEDCO has done an excellent job as a state entity to really find and invest in businesses owned by SETI founders. So we've got a wonderful 300 company portfolio, and these are Maryland companies ranging in all kinds of technologies that are founded by women, people of color, LGBTQ. So we have over 56% of our money invested in those kind of founders, which is incredibly high, not only in the nation, but the world, because I know what it's like to be overlooked. And these overlooked founders are people we are seeking. So it's a wonderful testament to how we can make a difference in our community. We've got successful businesses that are leading to exits. They're leading to growth, job growth, and they're leading to, wealth accumulation for these people who would otherwise be overlooked.
Let me ask you, so if someone is listening and they are looking to get funding, is TEDCO a company they can come directly to? Like, is it private? Is it public? Like, how do they go about getting that support that you're talking about?
Yes, great question. So we do only invest in technology companies. So that means you need to have some kind of unique technology. We won't invest in like a law firm or a doctor's office or a service business like a real estate brokerage. We are investing in companies that have technology, but it could be software, it could be hardware, it could be a medical device, it could be batteries. It's just got to be technology related, and they can apply directly to TEDCO. But if you go to the TEDCO website, we also have fantastic grant programs, and we also have preparations and resources for our state residents. You can go do practice pitching because, we're not Shark Tank. We're not here to shoot you down. But at the same time, entrepreneurs, you need to practice. And so we provide all these resources for free for the community. So TEDCO does have limited resources. We can't fund everybody. It is a bit competitive, but at the same time, we've got other resources to help entrepreneurs. So we're really excited for people to come to the website, and we have free events where we can tell you more about how to apply. And you can just go ahead and apply on the website if you feel you're ready.
Do you have any kind of mentoring program? So for someone who is really trying to figure out how to get funding, how to even work through the process, is there support available?
Absolutely. We've got initiatives that we call E3. It's an entrepreneur ecosystem empowerment, and E3 is really helpful. We've also got advisors. We've got people that can help you with your intellectual property. Let's say you need a patent on your device or your software. We have a prelude pitch, which is where you can practice pitching with us. And then we also have a startup orientation forum. Again, all free for first-time entrepreneurs or returning entrepreneurs. And so if you go to the TEDCO website, we have all of that information for you, and you can even sign up for a course.
So now, how has venture capital changed over time? Like, what is different now from when you started, or just what you've seen in terms of trends?
A couple things. One is the democratization of finance. And what I mean by that is Obama's Jobs Act was very powerful in that it wasn't just about jobs. It was also about bringing down investment opportunities to the average person. So that's how these crowdfunding platforms started. And venture capital used to be very elite. It was all white guys in Silicon Valley. Nobody could break in. It was really difficult. Not only did they have all the money, they had all the power. And that's not fair. It's still the case, but what's getting better is people, women like us, we are in our careers, we are earning money, we have retirement accounts, hopefully, but now there's opportunity to invest small amounts in venture capital, which wasn't available before. It was completely exclusive, it was completely opaque. But now there's opportunities for us. Plus, there are women and there are SETI founders people of color, disabled people who are managing venture capital funds, which means they're going to start investing in people who look and sound like them. I got to tell you something. Women's health, it has been underfunded because it's the ick factor. Men don't want to hear about women's issues, if you know what I mean.
Right.
So now that there are women like you and me who control venture capital funds for a state, for a private fund, for a university, we are able to look at those technologies and say, hey, women need this, or people of color need this, or disabled or veterans need this. So that means venture capital has been changing and getting money in people who otherwise didn't ever get to receive the money. Because this some white guy in Silicon Valley might not take their phone call or take a meeting. But that's how it's slowly changing now. The statistics are still not in our favor, but it's growing. And that's what's really exciting.
Now, how can early stage SEDI, which is socially and economically disadvantaged individuals, entrepreneurs, how can they get funded?
That's a great question. So what I recommend for everyone is first look locally. There could be grant programs, which, grants are free, which is actually even better because my money comes with the fact that I get shares. So if I invest in a company, I will get shares for that, right? But grants are free. So first, always start with grants. And there are in almost every city, Baltimore, there's a ton of them, DC, all around. There could be grant programs specifically for SETI founders, meaning that they want to help them with the initial operations of their company. There are also incubators. Incubators are where early stage people will go. And incubators, they'll have education and tips on how to pitch, how to create your marketplace, how to raise money. So, they're everywhere nowadays. Baltimore is full of them. There are great incubators. There are great venture capitalists. So I would look to those locally first because there are some investors, for example, that only want to invest in Maryland or only want to invest in New York so look for people who are local first. That's where I would start. And then from there, you can start to expand. But look for funds that specifically invest in what you are. If you're a woman, look for funds that invest in women. If you're LGBTQ, there are funds that invest in LGBTQ. So that's what I would do as well. Not only who you are, but the kind of company you are. There's some funds that only invest in software. There's some funds or investors that only invest in consumer products or women's health. So I would look for that. And that's the thing about Google. It's a really good resource for that.
Oh, I love that. Now, where can people go to your site to get more information? Where can they go to get this if they're looking to try to get some investments, if they're looking to be about, where can they go?
Absolutely. So the first stop on everyone's journey should be TEDCO's website, which is TEDCOMD.com. So it's TEDCOMD.com.
Excellent. And then go on, and then it's just kind of easy to make it through in terms
Absolutely.
of the website?
I would go to resources, which is on the front page, and there's all kinds of resources there. We've got a rural innovation initiative. We've got an urban innovation initiative for Baltimore. We've got rural for, Eastern Shore. And also, as I said before, look at our DEI initiative, look at our entrepreneur ecosystem empowerment program, and these are free resources that entrepreneurs should start with first before they apply.
All right. Thank you so much. Katherine Hill Ritchie has 22 years of finance and investment experience in venture capital, private equity, and working with family offices. She is the Senior Director of Venture Funds for TEDCO. And for more information, go to TEDCOMD.com. Folks, they are interested in helping to fund folks who are only in technology, but they have a special interest in people who are what they call early stage SEDI, which is early stage socially and economically disadvantaged individuals, entrepreneurs who are trying to get funded. Is that correct? I'm hoping I said that correctly, Ms. Ritchie.
And thank you. You are a legend. I appreciate you having me on, and I'm just glad to expand the knowledge about TEDCO and let our state know that we're really doing important things here.
All right, thank you. Baltimore is definitely, and Maryland, we are moving forward. Thank you again for your time.
Thank you.